Hey everyone, I know it's been a long time since I've last made a video. Life was lifing. But I'm older now and, I've been through a lot, which I believe God has used to strengthen my faith. So I'm going to be reading Hebrews 11 and just sharing some words of wisdom with you guys. Now, of course, this was a 40-verse passage, so there is a lot to unpack. But I'm going to keep it short and sweet so that we can all understand the main messages in this word. Now, this chapter, Hebrews 11, is all about having faith in God. But one thing that I want to emphasize particularly is the scope that this chapter had given. It told of people from the Old Testament who had faith in God. It told of Abraham, Barak, Jephthah, all of these people in the Bible who have done great things, not because of their own strength, but because of the strength that God had given them. It shows us that we are not strong because of ourselves. We are strong because of God. We are strong through God. And this chapter also talks about how to believe. It says in verse 6, "And without faith it is impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him." This is basically saying that to be a Christian, which means a follower of Christ, means to have faith in God. Because if you don't have faith in God, then who are you praying to? If you don't have faith in God, what is the purpose of your prayer? What is the purpose and the basis of your relationship? This is basically telling us that to be a child of God, you need to have faith. It says, without faith, it is impossible to please him. So that just talks about who we are as children of God. We should have faith. Faith isn't something that comes naturally, of course, because humans have the tendency to be doubtful. Humans have the tendency to be doubting Thomases. But as we grow in our knowledge of who God is through reading his word, through having fellowship with other believers, we get to know who God is more and more. And getting to know God is growing in our faith, growing in our understanding of who he is. I also want to touch from verse 1. This is actually my favorite verse of the Bible, and it speaks great volumes. So verse 1 says, "Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen." Now, this can also be applied to the afterlife. A lot of people are scared of death. Even I am, honestly speaking. But this is showing us that we know who to trust in. People lose their loved ones. That happens in life. But the thing that sets Christians apart from people who are not Christians is who they trust in. They don't hope. They have faith. Hope is different from faith. Hope is hoping in something because you're not sure about it. It could go either way. It could be successful or it could be unsuccessful. Whereas faith is trusting. So you see the difference? Hope is just believing without really being sure. Faith is fully trusting in God. That is the difference. So as children of God, when we lose loved ones, and God forbid we do before Jesus comes, but when we lose loved ones, we know who we can trust in because we have faith in God. Though we may not understand, we know that we can be comforted by God even in those dark times. So I just wanted to touch on that verse because it gives a clear definition of what faith is. Faith isn't hope, but it says that faith is the assurance of things hoped for. You see the difference? So yeah, hope is involved in faith, but it's not what faith is. It is a structure, a component of faith. Faith is fully believing. Faith is fully trusting. I also want to touch on verse 3. It says, "By faith we understand that the universe was created by the word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible." This is basically giving us an understanding of how the world was formed. A lot of people out there are still using the scientific explanation for the formation of the world by basically saying that the world was formed by some Big Bang theory. And we know that that is not true. We also know that evolution is not entirely true. Humans did not evolve in the sense of we were once monkeys and then we became humans. I'm sorry, but that's just not what it says in the Bible. It says in Genesis that God created humans. He didn't create monkeys that turned into humans. He created humans. Okay? So the world was formed by the word of God. The world was not formed by any Big Bang theory. The world was not just there. The world has a creator. And a lot of people tend to think that the world was just there. No, everything has a creator. Everything can be traced to a creator. Now, this might be a weak example, but imagine you're writing an essay. You are the creator of the essay. The essay wasn't just there. You made the essay. That is the exact same thing with the world. The world has a creator. It was not just there. It was made by the word of God. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God created the world over the course of 6 days and rested on the seventh. That is the truth of God. So going back to faith, verse 13 also says, these people all died. So they were talking about the people that were previously mentioned. So Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It says that these all died in faith, not having received the things promised, but having seen them and greeted them from afar, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. So from this verse, we can touch on two things. The first part is where it says that these all died in faith, not having received the things promised. Now, this is an unfortunate reality, but when some people trust in God and they have faith in God and they're asking so earnestly for God to grant them things, some of them might die before their time, but they're still commended as great because they still trusted in God. They still had faith in God. Not everyone is going to live to see their dreams become a reality. Not everyone is going to live to see the faith that they had become a reality, the things that they asked for become a reality. But God commends them for their faith. God sees that they trust in God, and He rewards them for that. The second part saying, and having acknowledged that they were strangers and exiles on the earth. Now, this part is talking about us as Christians. It is important for us Christians to know that we do not belong to the earth. The earth hates us, as it says earlier in the New Testament. Because the world hated Jesus, the world is going to hate us equally. Okay? So it's important for us to acknowledge that we do not belong to this world. We are aliens to this world. Our true home is in heaven. And that is why God has sent us as ambassadors for His kingdom. And when I say ambassadors, when you have an ambassador of a nation, those people usually go out for diplomatic purposes, but then they end up coming back to their home country. Same thing for us. Our home country is in heaven, but we are being sent out as ambassadors by God to do what we are supposed to do, our diplomatic relations, which is preaching the word of God to every nation, to every tribe, to all ends of the earth. And then when God calls us back home, we are going to heaven. That is the joy that we all await as children of God. So it's important to know that our faith in God is going out and spreading that word, that gospel, the good news that Jesus died on the cross and in 3 days He rose again. That is our faith, that we believe in that and we go out and spread it. We're so convicted in our faith that we go out and spread it. And when God calls us home, we are ready to receive the reward that He has given us. Yes, there is a reward. God is not going to make us do all this and then let us die and just not go anywhere. God will bring us to heaven and we'll enjoy the riches and the rewards of honoring Him, of serving His people. It's also important for us to notice the bad parts, okay? And when I say the bad parts, I'm not saying that there's bad parts of faith, but I'm saying the struggle in order to maintain that faith. Now, it says in verse 35 and 36, that women received back their dead by resurrection. Some were tortured, refusing to accept release, so that they might rise again to a better life. And that better life is, of course, heaven. 36 says, others suffered mocking and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. 37 says, they were stoned, they were sawn in two, they were killed with the sword. They went about in skins of sheep and goats, destitute, afflicted, mistreated. So we can see right here that people in the Bible, and even us as children of God who are called to have faith, we are going to face affliction. You know, life is actually about affliction. There's not any human in this world who hasn't gone through anything. And this is a little bit unrelated, but it even says in the Bible that Jesus went through affliction, so He's even able to strengthen us who are being afflicted. Every living person in this world has faced affliction of some sort. It's inevitable. Everyone faces it. But as children of God, ours is going to be to an even higher degree because people hate us. And when people hate you, they tend to mistreat you. You know, that just sort of happens. So we are going to be facing affliction in this life. But the thing to remember is that God will give us the thing that we will handle. Some people might drop the faith because of their affliction. And that is the sad reality of it. But as children of God, we know that God will never give us something that is too hard for us to handle. He knows each and every one of our limits. He knows each and every one of our strengths. And He is able to help us, even in those times of affliction, so that we are able to exit out of that affliction positively and enter into a place of light. So yes, we'll go through hard times, but we have resources. We have the Word of God. That is a great resource. We should use that resource when we need strength, when we need encouragement in our faith. We have the Word of God. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this little encouragement that I have given to you. I just wanted to teach you guys all about faith because I feel like with the way the world is going right now, we all need faith. Jesus is coming soon. And it's important for us to get our lives ready. Spread the word of God. Spread this message if God is touching you to spread this message. Because someone needs encouragement in their faith. So thank you guys all for listening. I know it was a bit long, but I just hope that this strengthened your faith today.